We're going to call the Ascension Parish Utility Committee meeting to order. I ask Councilman Kent Shakespeare to lead us in prayer following the pledge.
Dear Lord, we want to thank you for all of this beautiful weather you've given us these past few weeks. We want to thank you for all the good people of Ascension Parish and all the things that they do. Please give the council the necessary wisdom to make good selections in these large and very important items such as sewer throughout the parish, as well as other things that we need to decide upon. And as always, please help our soldiers across the ocean that they all may come home safely. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilman Benny Johnson is absent. I need to add to, and I'm going to need a motion to put public comment period on motion 2A. Second. No opposition to the motion. I guess I need a roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, we have a special meeting to present the recommendation of the selection, and we have a couple of people that's wanting to speak. Mr. Jake Lambert and Mr. Jake Lambert.
Councilman and Council Chairman, my name is Jake Lambert. I'm an engineer. I work for Glenn Shaheen and Associates, and we're a part of the Integral Water team. I just ask each of you to take an active role in the review of these proposals that have been submitted to you. I ask that you evaluate the merits of the proposals based on the concept, the ability to implement those concepts, and also the rates that will be imposed upon the users. Ultimately, you gentlemen up here will have to make a recommendation, and it's going to be important for you to be able to justify your decisions based on the merits of these two proposals to your constituents, to whom you're ultimately responsible. I challenge each of you, if you have any questions regarding the proposals, by all means, do not hesitate to contact us, ask. We're here to make sure that you fully understand the consequences of this very significant decision that you're going to be making, and we want to make sure that you're making an informed decision. Thank you all.
Thank you. We have another speaker, Mr. John McDonald.
Thank you, committee. I'll be very brief. My name is John McDonald. I'm president of Integral Water, and would, again, just like to echo Jake and just encourage you guys to familiarize yourself with these proposals. There's a lot of detail in them and a lot of different fees, and each proposal has its own merit, and I think it's important for the citizens that you guys evaluate these proposals on their merits. So, thank you.
Thank you. So far, that's it. President Martinez, do you have anything?
No, looking at the scores, you know, you can see that we did have two really good proposals. I think both teams put a lot of effort and time and money into these proposals, and you know, the committee made a selection based upon what they saw in the proposals, and of course there's several options from here, and what I'd like you to do is maybe talk to Mr. Fred Chevalier, call him up and let him basically explain to you where you can go from here, and you know, what's the next step. You know, both proposals, if you read them, both have a lot of good things in them. They both encompass, like I said, a lot of work and a lot of time that's been put into this. Problem is we need to have a parish-wide sewer system in Ascension Parish. How we get there, I think this is the first step. I think this has been a good exercise. You know, we met with DEQ last week. They have several concerns about the parish and about the future of sewage in the parish, and it's something that I don't think we can wait on. I think it's something that we have to move forward as a group and as a team, and it's very, very important that you look at these proposals, make a rational decision, and hopefully do what's best for the citizens of the parish. Both proposals were charged with $45 a month. One of the main things is the hookup fee that needs to be negotiated down to something that's affordable. So again, there's a lot of work still to be done, no matter what happens here. But I would ask that you would have Mr. Fred Chevalier explain the options from here on.
What are recommendations, fellas?
Please invite Fred up, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, Fred Chevalier of Jones Walker Law Firm. The way the RFP is written, the evaluation committee makes a recommendation to the utilities committee, and then they're out of the picture. You can do several things. You can accept no recommendation at all and just say we're not going to take either one of these offers. You can pick the one the evaluation committee recommended, or you can say, no, you know, we're looking at this independently, and you know what, I think they're wrong. You could do that too. If you do select somebody, though, you're supposed to recommend whoever you select to the full council, and then the full council decides what to do. Or you can just simply say, look, we're not prepared to recommend either one, and you just tell the council you're just not prepared to move forward with either one of them. If you want to, it's your decision. So now, if you do pick somebody and take the recommendation or not, but if you do and recommend a firm to the council, then at that point, and the council says, okay, we'll go with that, at that point, then we have to start negotiating an agreement with them. So if those negotiations go well and everyone is in agreement and you have a contract agreed to, great. If not, if they just simply cannot agree on the important points in that agreement or that contract, then you reserve the right in your RFP to go to the next firm that responded and try to negotiate with them. And if that works, fine. If it doesn't, then you just do whatever you think you need to do at that point, whether it's start over, go another way, or whatever. So that's kind of the situation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any question for Fred? Or y'all want to meet with him later?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to have
Okay.
some questions to ask as we look into it just a little bit further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. What's,
Okay, we have a discussion?
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to make a statement and ask some questions if at all possible. I think this is,
Did you want them to go ahead and make the recommendation, then maybe open it up for discussion? Maybe that might be the...
well, a lot of, my idea is that we've sat down here for 5 minutes looking at some pieces of paper that's going to make the difference of $150 to $250 million in this parish. And I feel very uncomfortable with sitting here in 5 minutes and you know, I've done as much background work as I think I could up until now, but I don't think it's fair to people of the parish for us to make a decision right now based on 5 minutes. One of my questions was going to be, what is a timeline, Tommy, that you need us to forward a decision so that we can move on this without making a rash decision?
Well, we certainly don't want you to make a rash decision. I wasn't asking you to make a recommendation. I was just going to let them go ahead and make you know, what the committee came up with, and then from there you could take the discussion further and make, you know, you can certainly take your time. You don't have to do this tonight. I don't think anybody expects you to make a decision tonight. I think it's a lot still to be looked at, and you know, tonight was to get through step one, process one, for the committee to come make a recommendation. Nobody's asking you, I don't think anybody's here tonight expecting you to make any kind of decision.
Okay.
The point was to just get through that point of order
Right.
on the agenda, and then from there just kind of open it up and talk about it.
Well, with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion that we take this under advisement and have the chairman schedule a special meeting at the appropriate time and as soon as possible, without, as long as we can get all our information, and that we take some time tonight to ask as many questions as we feel comfortable with to get enough background, and then we can go and start comparing so that we can come up with what we think is best. I'll put that-
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman. I agree with him on that.
Motion by Councilman Snyder, second by Councilman Collins. Any, no opposition to the motion?
Okay, now I got some questions. I was looking, and I don't know who do we direct, who's the representatives that would answer these questions?
On the selection committee,
No, for the two different, we have the information from the selection committee. We can look at that a little closer and greater. But on the two proposals,
okay.
and I just think that one thing, that it says American Water proposal calls for overall cost of 200. Does it have somebody from American Water?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It says an overall cost of $226 million. And then it also has that the lower part of the parish was not included in that cost.
Sorrento area.
Well, it's from Geismar, Garyville, Burnside, Sorrento, Sanamo is not included within that.
Yeah,
Is-
my name is, first of all, my name is David Orem with American Water. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager. The way that the proposal was laid out was basically in three phases, to be discussed with the parish over a period of time, depending upon how the parish would like to proceed on a go-forward basis based upon what was in the RFP. That third phase, which is located in the southeastern portion of the parish, was to be discussed with the parish on a go-forward basis, depending upon how it wanted to proceed. That is an area of significant growth. As we know, there's an area that developers are currently considering, so those costs of the facilities couldn't need to be donated to the parish. So that was the reason for that particular area being excluded, or on a go-forward basis and moved into phase 3.
Okay, so that's something you plan on dealing with later on?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Well, while I have you up here. And then it also said that right-of-way costs, how many plants would you end up with on the first two phases?
There was 2 facilities
Okay,
anticipated.
that's what I thought.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you said the right-of-way costs would be borne by the parish on this?
It was anticipated through in the RFP that right-of-way costs, servitude costs would be borne by the parish, yes.
All right, and that may be significant because you have 2 plants and your options for right-of-ways would be fairly limited.
The RFP anticipated using public servitudes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What about your, any temporary hooks, do you have it within your plan to do any temporary hookup for parish needs that could be done? Let's just say within the time period that we're talking about, we have something that comes up that we're trying to develop.
The RFP anticipated that we would have serviceability at one of the facilities by January 1st, I believe it was, or the first quarter of 2013, if I remember the date correctly. So there was an interim period of time. Again, there's
You're talking about
addition.
Lamar Dixon be able to.
That's correct.
operate.
And there are anticipated facilities that are already served by the parish
Therefore, we would have the conversations with the parishes to the developments that were coming up, when they would be connected and when they would be anticipated.
And what about people, the question I get all the time, what about people that have their septic tanks and their modads and not necessarily looking at hooking up right now? What do you-
That is something that we would discuss during the negotiation process, depending upon how the parish, there's currently no ordinances in place to require a hookup or not require a hookup, et cetera. The RFP anticipated the sewering of the entire eastern side of the parish, and that's what we had responded to.
So you don't have any specific things for that?
Whether they're septic tank or MODAD, the anticipation was over that 20-year period, they would be connected ultimately to a regional system.
Okay. And it says that in order to get the connection fee down to $500, you would look at a new rate of $95 per month?
There was two mechanisms that were asked in one of the questions, and that was what would it take in a subsidy that would be required in order to lower the price to that, or what would the price of the monthly service fee be located to do away with the connection fee? And I believe that the information that was included in the response was $95 a month, correct?
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Can I get someone from Integra? Yeah, as I was looking, some of the concerns that I had, especially on the southern part and Pelican Point and all of that, is people are looking at, and we had some initial information said that that was going to be included in your scope.
Yes, sir.
Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your proposal is overall cost of $126 million, and that does include the southern part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many plants, I think you can have more smaller plants?
Right.
Is your
There are
plan?
4, possibly 5. We anticipate probably 3 regional plants in the northern end of the parish that would discharge into the wetlands.
And you're going to utilize the existing Lamar-Dixon?
Yes, sir.
And so the other regional plants are going to go where you initially looking at starting the other areas?
We're looking at a handful of options, but one of the concepts that we're proposing is to use wetlands assimilation for the discharge of the effluent from the wastewater treatment facilities. This is a concept that's been used fairly frequently, especially in South Louisiana. It's a very good concept for this region of the parish, the northern part of the parish, because it reduces your pumping, long-term your pumping costs. The further you've got to transport this sewer, the more it costs in the long run to operate and maintain these facilities. And it's a concept, along with the incorporation of the Lamar-Dixon facility, and possibly 1 or 2 other new treatment plants that will be utilizing throughout the implementation of our plan.
So Lamar-Dixon would be discharging into the Mississippi?
Yes.
Okay, and then you would probably have anything discharging in the Amite River?
Well, via the wetland assimilation,
Yeah, okay.
some of those
Okay,
plants
I
would
understand.
ultimately end up
So
in that.
those
But they
basically
meet
through
all
the
the
wetlands.
effluent limits and you know, all of the limits that are required.
Yeah, that was, and I forgot to ask American Water, is DEQ?
Sure, I mean, everything has to be in full
Everything is approved by
compliance.
DEQ?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I mean, they're satisfied. And your timeline, as a,
Well, we anticipate the first phase of consolidation to probably take somewhere 5 to 7 years, I'd say, but the long-term build-out is on a 20-year schedule.
yeah.
As
What,
far as, I'm sorry, go ahead.
what do you mean by first phase? What does that entail?
That entails constructing the regional plants and beginning the consolidation, the integration of the customers in the northern end of the parish, or I should say in the parish.
And
And-
Lamar
and that-
Dixon would take how long?
I think that would be 18 months.
Yeah, well, and it's important to recognize that these time schedules can be amended. I mean, that'll be part of the discussions that'll have to take place once the contracts are awarded as to what the schedule is for the implementation of these projects.
And naturally, there's a big concern with our common knowledge. We have package plants in the parish,
Sure.
and they're in need of upgrading and everything. And how is that going to be addressed?
Well, we anticipate incorporating those package plants and taking those offline as part of this process. Acquiring the private providers is contemplated.
All right. I'll ask you too. What about the MODAD hookups with people that currently have them?
We anticipate folks that currently have a MODAD wouldn't be required immediately to hook to the system. As those systems fail, they would probably want to hook up, but we wouldn't require it immediately.
We would have to do some type of legislation at a certain point would be required.
Well, one thing that could take place, and again, some of this guidance would come from you gentlemen, is that over the course of time, the parish could establish a testing regime for these MODADs and make sure that they, in fact, are meeting their effluent limits, because it's no doubt that each of these little small MODADs is contributing to some of our breaches of the discharge limits that we're seeing on the Amite River and other areas in the parish. So through this testing regime that could be established, depending on how it would be set up, but as these systems become ineffective in their treatment of the wastewater, the parish could require them to hook up, or the parish could incentivize them to hook up. And, there's a handful of ways to address it, but by all means, over time, all of these MODADs would eventually be incorporated into the parish-wide.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about people building a house now and spend $3,000, $3,500, and then
Absolutely.
have to turn around
Well,
and pay
and some of the ordinances would, ultimately, as a result of all of this, some ordinances will have to be revised, to incorporate these recommended changes into the requirements in order to get a building permit.
Mhm. One of the things that we're looking at is, we have some possibilities of some schools locating in property areas around here, some major things, and what assurances can you give us that the sewer would not be a holdup?
We'd work in every way
project.
possible to make sure that we can serve those folks early on. If it's bringing in a temporary solution, temporary mechanical package plan or something along those lines, to make sure that we can hit the timelines that are important to the parish. Economic development is a very important part of this proposal and this whole concept. So we work as hard as we can to make that work for you guys.
Okay. I think that's about it. That's all I have right now.
Councilman Collins?
Thank you very much, and we're obviously looking at all the information. Both groups have really done their homework, and y'all making this awful hard, to try to pick one over the other. So we appreciate that.
Have y'all talked to the owners of these private plants to purchase them already?
We've had substantial discussions with one of the larger private parties we have.
So y'all didn't come to any agreement yet, huh?
No, sir, we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
We have a good idea of what we think agreement would entail,
Okay.
but we do not have a definitive agreement on the table.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, I would like, I'm looking for more of a PowerPoint. I would like to see exactly, are you including the entire parish with this wastewater project, or what's going on here?
Well, and we have a lot of documentation in our proposal that concerns all of this and some of the different phases of how it would be implemented. But definitely over the lifespan of the project, the majority of the parish will be covered by parish-wide sewer systems. And, and we can, by all means, we'd be happy to come and provide y'all with further documentation or a PowerPoint if that's, something that y'all would be interested in.
Well, I have a problem with this $45 a month fee. And what is your tie-in?
2,500
2,500?
as proposed. I mean, it can be, again, there were some clarification questions that said, can you reduce it? And the answer is, of course. It either through a parish subsidy, or we can reduce the growth rate of the system. It depends. But we anticipated that at some point there would be a selection made, and that either party would sit down and negotiate through those fees.
Well, I'm not ready to bring this just anywhere yet. This is a lot bigger than this utility committee. I would suggest that we bring this to the full council, and each area is different, and I want the entire parish included, nothing cut out, and that's what I'm going to support. And these monthly rates have to go down, and the tie-in fee. I'm not going to support it. Simple as that. That's it.
President?
I think you've covered it all. If you, as I said, you don't have to move on this tonight. You can take it to the next step if you'd like. If not, fine. But nobody's asking you to vote on it at all. Again, we have met with DQ. I can assure you that we need to move on something. I don't think we need to move hastily. I think we can get more time if we need more time. And certainly this is a big decision, one of the biggest this parish will ever make, but it's a decision in some way, shape, or form that we have to do, and we have to start somewhere. And whether it be with either one of these proposals or on our own, it's just something that we need to continually work on and not drop the ball on, and not just say we're not going to do it, because I don't think in the future that we're going to have a choice. And be glad to have DQ to come to a meeting and again discuss this with you. As I said, we've been in contact with DQ quite often. There's a lot of things that's happening here in the parish. Maybe you want to discuss it with them. But again, in this situation, even if it takes us a while to make a decision, we have to make a decision. I'll just say that.
Well, I assure you we will move forward with this, President. But we need to move forward to the point where the residents of Ascension Parish doesn't suffer. And this committee will take a look at it. I would like to schedule a meeting with you and Mr. Larry and Mr. Chevalier, and we need to discuss some of this, get into it a little deeper in the details. But I am not going to hurt the residents of Ascension Parish. I'm homegrown. Been here all my life, and we got to move with this, but we're gonna move the right way.
Question for Mr. Larry.
I echo you, Chairman. Worst thing we can do is not do anything. I promise you, after seeing the information. We're in a situation where either we're going to do something or somebody else is going to make us do something. And that's not going to be good for anybody in the parish. So, but I think, echoing Councilman Thompson, we need to make sure we do what's right. I would like to see us get a meeting for this committee where we have both groups put out a full-fledged presentation for us so that we can really look at it and ask questions as we go, and have it a separate thing. What we have, maybe it takes a half an hour with one group and a half hour with another one, we can get a better handle on this, and then we can discuss some of this, a little bit better, and also bring some options, because as Councilman Lambert says, some of these fees are just going to be unacceptable. And we need to see what our options are, if the parish can participate, and if so, how much. What is it going to, because more and more it goes, it looks like some kind of way the parish is going to have to participate at some point in time. So, and the parish means the residences, so we're going to have to do something and whatever's best. So I think we need a few more options to put out there for the people, and I think after this, another meeting, we can have a better idea. If Mr. Chairman could, we'd like maybe have the chairman go ahead and try to set up something where we can get a little more information.
President?
I'm fine, and a couple of weeks, if we can give these people some time, the two participants, if that's what you want, to come up with a presentation and basically a PowerPoint presentation, and invite the rest of the council to come to the Utilities Committee meeting and look at it, and look at the proposals that we do have. And we've been thinking about ways to also to subsidize, so that's something else, and we can maybe throw at you.
Anybody else have any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Larry, you was in on these RFQs on the process?
In on the selection?
Select, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to share some of your comments since you directing this with the wastewater?
Well, it's been said here before, the selection committee spent a lot of time reviewing the proposals, and there are two very good proposals. There's a very different approach, and some of the I think you have before you a synopsis of some of the major differences and major points, and but as you've discovered, the most blaring thing was the cost per user, and it's something that's going to have to be worked out. And as President Martin has said, there's some other things perhaps on the table that we can take a look at here in the near future, and but the selection, as you can see by the results, were very, very close when we got done with the averaging, and it was very difficult to make a decision.
Just another thing, as far as the water situation in the parish, has anyone contacted the local water company to see what we could work out with the collections on this? I know we're working in some of our other areas per gallon. Has any one of the companies here had any contact?
Excuse me, Councilman Lambert, I had talked with them before about the systems we have, and at present they're billing us just per month basis. I think it's $30. I asked him about doing it per gallon, and he said that the way they do East Baton Rouge is they do a quarterly average, and then they do it the next time. He never said he wouldn't do it, but he's probably not. The private companies right now are a set rate. Well, that's by the Public Service Commission. But the parish's rate, the fairest way would be by gallons. So if they wouldn't do it, then we'd have to come up with a system ourselves, and that's possible to get with ACUD1 maybe to come up with a collection system.
What I'd like out of this is, we have people out here on private wells. I would like to see the difference in, you can have subdivisions that's already on city water and different things. At a $45 rate, will all customers pay? What I'm getting here is I'm trying to figure out how we can get everyone balanced. Maybe the two companies can come back with something that, if you have a household of just two and you have the next house with 6 people in it, try to get something in the middle there.
Well, as far as you still got to, you got two companies that you got to give them something to go by so they can do a plan, and it's very costly. That's why the numbers are up there. I think the best way would be if the parish could subsidize them with some type of tax or whatever.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
When we do have the meeting, I think it's important that the first thing we do is have DEQ come here and let the residents of the parish know where they stand here and what the importance of this, because people need to know why it's important and what are the options. I know Baton Rouge got to put on the consent order, and if you hook up on anything there, it's $2,500 to start with, a minimum. So I would like to really see where we stand with them and how urgent this is, and I think the whole parish needs to see. And if we could have that done first and then have the two presentations and then also have the administration come up with some funding options that the parish, the likely scenarios that the parish could participate, people would participate with some type of either millage tax or whatever, I don't know. But we need to get either the tie-ins or the rates down to a manageable fee. And
I don't know if you can do anything with the rates. I mean, if you look, the companies that are operating here now
yeah,
have gone to the Public Service Commission and asked for a rate increase up to $41, $43 a month. It just costs that much to treat sewage, and I don't think you, unless you subsidize it, I don't think you're going to get below the $45. $45. If the reason that the hookup fees are so high is because of the $45 fee, which you could possibly subsidize is the hookup fees. But I don't think you can. I don't know if there's any way possible you can provide sewer for less than $45 a month, and I don't think either one of these companies or any other company around is can stand up here and tell you that they can do that. I just don't think that's going to happen.
well, I mean, I agree with you. That's what's happening with all the private companies,
So-
and they're finding out that that the maintenance on the private companies hadn't been to the standards that they needed to be, which we are required to bring them up, which adds extra costs.
Right.
So,
And we need to bring it in as low as we can, and that's kind of one of the concerns with both options is certainly the hookup fees are very high at this point, and something needs to be done unless, you know, I don't know how we can do it. So, but we do have some thoughts that we'll present to you at the next meeting.
we appreciate that.
Right now, we putting how much money, we subsidizing wastewater with how much?
I don't have the exact figures, but you know, even what we got, we're losing about $500,000 a year with the 5 systems that we do have right now in the utility department. So we got a $30 a month rate. And that doesn't take into consideration any future problem that's going to come up, because all the systems are new at this point. So again, it's not something that you're going to make money on. It's not something that, you know, that I don't think you can negotiate with at this point. We just need to look at what's best. If we have to subsidize, we need to bring it to the public and let the public decide if they want to subsidize it. So, but again, the main thing here is, I mean, the $45 is one thing, but the hookup fee is the big thing that we need to look at.
Well, I think that once we have a plan and we go to the public with a plan, that they will support us, especially if we're going to start getting mandates that we have to move. But I would appreciate if you look at and see what areas we could look at further subsidizing it at some sort.
Subsidizing that.
Well, we need more.
You want some more subsidy?
But anyway, we appreciate both companies for the proposals, and we got we got a motion and a second, and we didn't have any opposition, and we voted to take it under advisory. And so we'll be contacting you guys on a later date.
You might want to have them start preparing their PowerPoints, since they're both here. Let them know what you expect.
And, you guys have to prepare a PowerPoint to bring to this committee.
And for the full council, too. 2 weeks enough
And
time
for
for
the
that?
full council.
do it 2 weeks.
2 weeks from now?
2 weeks from now.
Want me to schedule?
The 9th,
Okay. Let's do that.
Is that enough time?
okay. Anybody have anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion adjourned by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Collins. No opposition? Adjourned.